Good morning. This is Spiritual. Today is Tuesday, 6/25/2019, and it's now 5:02 a.m. Yes, I've been awake now for a while. Yeah, I had my computer on, a video playing, and yeah, a lot of times when these videos are playing, and you start dreaming, you're dreaming in part of what's playing at the time. And that's what happened to me today. It was very anxiety producing. Yeah, I was watching one of the Bourne series with Matt Damon, and very interesting. I found the whole genre, this whole Jason Bourne series, very, very interesting. It gets me thinking, and I think the reason why I'm watching it so much is that I think it answers a lot of questions about what's going on in the world. The whole concept of someone uh, someone in a government agency and taking people and using them outside of their comfort zone, and then when they're done, they discard them. It's a real hard concept. The degree of deception. I was just watching the last one, the last of the series, and he couldn't. He learned that he couldn't. He found out who was behind what, and how the length of some of the newer recruits, and they how do you say, they play both sides, and it's all about promoting themselves. So human nature, it exposes human nature, that in any institution, whether government or private, it's all the same. And you have people that play both sides. And in their head, they think that, oh, well, I'm doing the good thing. And they all rationalize what they're doing in their own head. And so it's just really exposing who we are, our nature. And then I started watching a YouTube video, and it's a woman YouTuber, and she's gone through this religious awakening. She broke away from mainstream religion, and now she's on a quest, an inner quest about life. And someone had presented her a book about when God was female, and she read an excerpt from the book. And I started thinking about that. Like she mentioned that before it was the God, the Elohim of the Bible as we know it, there was goddess worship before the scriptures, before the Torah. There was religion and what they call goddess worship. And I started thinking about that, like in the world today, women are behind men. Women are oppressed, especially the Abrahamic religions. So whether it be Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, and those are the major religions at play. And so again, I'm thinking about the Jason Bourne series, how you have, think of religion as an agency. And you have agencies all over the world. And sometimes different agencies fight amongst each other, even though they're really about the same thing. But each of them, just like in the Jason Bourne series, the very last one, where you have a young female agent and how she played both sides. So how could you trust them? And people are dying all around. And just like with religion, people are dying all the time. You have the different denominations, you have the different major religious organizations slash agencies, but they're all about the same thing. They all want the same thing. They want power and worship. And as I mentioned in the past, that what is worship? I try to analyze, what is worship? What is this all about? Well, worship has to do, the essence of worship, I believe, is about sending your power, your energy, and your will over to someone or something else, and it empowers them. It never empowers you. It never. You have to rely on them giving you the crumbs. And so again, with the men and women, you have women who are abused in the church. I look back at my experience in the church, my early beginnings in the church, when I lived in the West Indies, and how you had this white pastor, male pastor from Minnesota, and he had this ego, this male domination. And I said something very, it's something that I sensed with him, and I didn't know what it was. And so I actually was trying to talk to him with with cushioned gloves, because I couldn't figure him out, and I just didn't want to ruffle feathers. But I did. So I think what was happening, I was picking up on his animosity that he had towards women, but not knowing it. Something instinctively, but I just thought, oh, I better talk in terms like gender-friendly terms. And I never thought like that before, but just something I couldn't really understand why I was feeling the way I was. I the I said a statement. I said, well, it was with term him or her, like gender terms. And I said, well, he, and then I said, oh, well, he or she type of thing. And and it was the first time I ever said something like that, but it was just something about him. And I just thought, well, maybe with him, I should say him or her type of thing. Mostly like in language, we say he all the time. And this time I just felt, he, she. And then he said, oh, why you say that? Oh, I bet you one of those woman livers and blah, 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 blah. And back then, I was far from that. I didn't know about, I wasn't into gender stuff. I couldn't care less. I was raised in a very male dominant household and um, society. So I was pretty much programmed to think he, she, he, when you read a book, it's always he. You're reading a storybook, he, especially like children's stories. It's always he. And also made mention in a past conversation that it was this lady was testing something out, and she had a little boy, and she was reading the little boy a storybook. And so she was testing out something, and when the book said he, she used the term she, and she did this or she that, and the little boy said, "Mommy, how come you're not? How come there's no he? He? Where's he? Where's he?" See, he was initially programmed to hear he, so it was an expectancy. And this is part of the social programming. Have books that the male is the star, the male is the focal point. Just like in the Bible is a socially constructed book. The new system that arrived around 6,000 years ago. And this was the first attack, the attack on the female. The book of Genesis, what is that about? Someone who calls themselves Elohim, but then they translate it as the word God, as a male gender, even though it was plural. And then blame a woman for something, but yet before the woman did what she did, the male was put in position over her. It was a failure in the system, the initial programming, and the female is blamed. And so everything that followed this Bible is always about diminishing the female. All the Abrahamic religions, especially the Islam. And no, this is an anti-Islam audio. I'm just stating something that's obvious. You cannot go in an Islamic nation, especially in the true Arabs. You get beaten. Your little ankle is showing, and they can beat you. You have to be accompanied by a male, even if it's a male infant. So see there? See how cruel it is. It's no love. Here, all life on this planet comes out from the womb. You're breastfed. You're nurtured. You're protected, at least, the best they could. And then you turn around and bite the hand that feeds you, that nurtures you, and then destroy them. Make it so that they rely on your purse, on your wallet. You cannot go out by yourself. It's in the Saudi Arabia. You have no freedom. And it's just so harsh on her. It's to keep her in check. So it seems like with this new system, I think this whole world right now, it's under that that umbrella that came about around 6,000 years ago. That's when it took its place, that it got a stronghold. But it probably started before 6,000, but they just came into power 6,000, full power 6,000 years ago. And everything seems to maybe stem from this reality, that reality. And I mean, just look around. It's very harsh. The environment I came from was harsh against women, very sexist, demeaning, and the sexual dominance that they put upon the female. The fear of, well, if he leaves me, how I'm going to take care of the rest of the children or myself. And so you let the male do a lot of things against you. And no, this isn't an anti-male rant either. I'm just exposing what is. And so I look around again, this world system. Who controls like where you live? Real estate agencies. Most of them are male. You look in the government and you see who's works in these higher ups. The predominance are male. Even though in the United States there's more female than male. And women outlive men in general. In general. So women have the longevity over men. Women mature faster than men. You get 2 infants, let's say twins, and 1 male, 1 female. The female develops faster, physically and mentally. So females are superior in the aspect of developmental processes. I don't mean superior meaning better. It's not about who's better, but there is a efficiency. And then the program against the female really, really begins high school. Like junior high school, the females were more dominant physically, everything. They were just more developed mentally and physically. And again, I don't mean superior. I don't, that's an arrogant term. I'm just stating the physiology and all that. And then high school, the program really starts to begin against the female. That she's not supposed to really know math. She's not really encouraging the sciences. But all of a sudden, they start to nurture the male to be the focal point, the male to be promoted in school, the sports, the academic, the high academics. And looking like in the colleges, the advanced degrees and everything, it's usually male, like engineering, male, all male, But they rely on the women to go like be teachers and stuff for the little children. But then in the high schools and stuff, the males get more precedence. This is just an observation when I'm thinking about my life. So how does this all tie in, with the current world system, my watching this YouTuber and giving this book about when God was a woman? It's a system that's at place. You look at the Born series. What is this about? An agency against another agency. Why is that? So it's a war going on. Who placed this initial war? Could be this Elohim. You're learning about different military bases all over the world, what they call underground bases. Some of the YouTubers are talking about the Antarctic. some underground base, and then you have what was told a break-off group that sent a colony to the moon and Mars. Now, I don't know whether this is true. I don't know. I have, I don't know. But let's say if it's a war, and the war really is about gender, because look what's happening now. Like yesterday, I went out for a long walk to the village and back, Greenwich Village and East Village, and then while I was there was a lot of the flag, the LGBTQ flag, all over the city. I was now I was surprised at the extent of it in certain areas in the city. But way down in the village, it's not a real surprise at the West Village, but it's also in the East Village too, but not as much. But what is that really about? Okay, you have it's really about a gender war, the he-she. Now they're blending the he-she. So men now, primarily white men, can now call themselves a she. You don't really hear about the she's want to be a he, but I'm sure you have that. But it's overwhelmingly the white men want to be grafted on and get themselves a new protection, a minority status. So now they're protected like how so-called black people and Hispanics are so-called protected. We're not protected. It's just an excuse. And so now they have this new protection. Now they can dress themselves like a woman. Now they need protection because now they can call themselves a she. But yet they still have the power. They have the wallet. Because remember, they are who they are. So they're born into a system, they're born into a gender of protection of the wallet. And now they want to corrupt that wallet and double dip. So they get protected both sides. Both sides because they are male, because they have the X and Y chromosome. And then physically, externally speaking, their phenotype is disguised as a woman. And so they're being double protected. Now they can do their status, do what they were born to do, and take over the female spot, the female's role. So it's not just looking like a woman, it's about protection and it's about controlling. See, now you can get a job as a woman because now you have the right to call yourself a she. And I, a couple of years ago, did a video about this guy who dressed as a female and got a job at an agency. The heads up, the designer knew who he was and hired him. But the other people didn't know. I think it was like the designer and then the agency that employed the guy who was actually a woman. I mean, the woman who was actually a guy. Okay, he was disguising himself to look like a woman. And most likely the designer was into that type of lifestyle and hired him. And then he gets outed. The agency dropped him. And then now he gets on this commercial on YouTube. It was a YouTube ad, and I couldn't believe it. So here, he takes a job from a woman. And it seems like that they get so much popularity, these transgender people, especially the males who disguise themselves as female. Because see, a lot of these designers are homosexual. And again, what your sexual preferences are is your business. It is your business, and it's not a rant against your lifestyle. My issue is social engineering and forcing people to like certain things that they wouldn't normally desire, or forcing people, hey, I better get on this bandwagon because I want to get a job, especially if you're black male. So it's a war now on gender. See, now it's coming, what do you call it, 360 degrees. See, it's going a full circle. And the war again is against the gender. And overpowering this gender, now overpowering the female by looking like a female and taking over her spot. So where is it going to leave the real woman? She's going to be booted out of her job. And it seems like businesses, whether in government or private sector, seems to reward those who are willing to do certain sexual practices. Don't you notice that? Look at what they call Pizzagate. What is that about? It's to overpower. And it's such a perversion because now it's trying to overpower children, innocent children. But who's primarily are the predators? Okay, what gender in general? So I think it's a war that's turning around full circle, that is actually a war against gender, a war against the woman. Because again, the Bible really is the beginning of the war against the woman. And then it taught about the war against race. What race was that? What race is targeted in the Bible by modern religion? Well, if you live in the Americas, and primarily in North America, what race was targeted in using the Bible as the cause? That is the group that is under the Hamitic races. Ham or Ham, that's the black race. And black people are taught in the Americas, especially North America, that you have a curse over you. Now remember, growing up, that I thought the woman was the cursed one. And a woman's menses was called the curse. Remember that? So the woman was innately cursed. And then the Hamitic race is the cursed one, according to the scriptures. That's how it's perverted. See, the Bible seems to be a perversion on top of a perversion. And it's just this theme seems to keep coming out, keep getting more and more perverse. And who now they call what's that? Oh, I forget the slogan that they call it now. for the LGBTQ. But who in Stonewall, because I made mention in the video, well, audio tape that I did yesterday, audio video, that's right. It's the Stonewall 50th anniversary. Who was the catalyst for that 50th anniversary but a black teenage guy? I think he was about 18 years old. And here, a whole movement throughout the city getting so much recognition, but yet black people as a whole is not getting as much attention. We're not getting any, what do you call, I forget the term, like being reimbursed for the harm that we incurred as a people. It's overlooked. We don't even celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation. It's never discussed on television or shows. Any celebration, it's forgotten. And the day actually occurs on New Year's Day. It's never made mention. Never. You even have the banks. The banks were celebrating the 50th anniversary. All the banks with the LGBTQ flag up. I was like dumbfounded. So here, the whole movement stemmed from the death of this young black adult male. But yet you forget about the person, the group that made it possible. We're always forgotten. We're always forgotten. And so here now you have the woman, also is forgotten. She wants to be recognized for her goodness. There is a Mother's Day, though. See, the true reality of who you should really honor. I mean, honor both, the man and the woman. We do need each other. But I think, again, with this whole agency thing, religion and government agencies, they work hand in hand. They're not to be really viewed as separate, I see. And so the Jason Bourne series, again, is just a reminder that they all work together and they're all squabbling, just like now. Just like the religions are squabbling and male and female are squabbling. The male and female have their beginnings also. But it wasn't always against one another. And just like with Jason Bourne, see, it was his father, according to this series, that started the whole program. And then the father's own religion, so to speak, his own program, said, someone outside said, hey, let's use your son. Let's use your Jesus. Let's use your Adam and Eve to be the template for it. And everybody will be based on your son's activity. Hey, let him be the first candidate. And the father says, no, I'm not going to permit this. Hey, I did this for other people to do, not me. Then it got hijacked. And the father gets killed, even though the father started the program. And then they used their son. And then they're all squabbling with each other. They use the candidates to even kill each other. Just like we have women fighting against women. men fighting against women. So what am I saying? That we were hijacked. People are hijacked. We're hijacked on this planet. We may have started out as something else, to do something else, and then someone exploited our nature. We were approached, probably. We have particular qualities, attributes, abilities. They knew who we were, but we didn't know who they were. And we believed them. We were probably told a lie, just like in the Jason Bourne series. They were told lies. And they kept trying to butter us up in the Jason Bourne series. They kept saying, oh, aren't you a patriot? Aren't you a patriot? Oh, you love your country. And then at the same time, destroy them. And then they belittle Jason. Oh, your father was weak. How often are we told, oh, the women are such and such? Oh, black people are inferior. See that? And then they say, oh, you have so many good qualities. So see that? They bash you and then they praise you. Oh, you're so good. Oh, you're perfect for the job. And then they belittle you. It's mind control. We're being mind controlled. Women are being mind controlled. And this also reminds me of what happened with when slavery was just about over. No, I think it could have it's just before the war, I think. Either way, around that time, you have Frederick Douglass, who had escaped, a mixed race black fellow who got his freedom. He escaped from slavery, and later on, in his latter years, he was hooked up with this white woman, and the two married. Yes, they did. See how, again, the black man and the woman, the white woman, it seems to be something very interesting about that type of union. And in the United States at least, that when the whole paradigm shift, the real antagonism that occurred upon the black in America was as a result primarily when the white woman and the black man formed an alliance. That's when all those laws got enacted, and that slavery was indentured servitude. I believe that indentured servitude, at least in North America, I don't know about the Caribbean or South America, but I think initially in North America, that it was an indentured servitude for the African. And then quickly, when the white man, the free white man, saw that after the indentured term ended for the black individual, he was marrying the white woman. See, the white male who was free did not want to be associated with the enslaved white female. He was too good for her. So who was she to marry? This former white female indentured slave. And so it wasn't liked. It wasn't liked. Just like in the Bible, she wasn't liked too. She probably had an alliance somewhere, and then it was corrupted, and then the fighting. So I think there's a relationship. It's a relationship going, whether it's the Bible or these government agencies or private corporations, very large, the large corporation and the agency, government agencies, they work hand in hand with each other, just like in the movie, the Jason Bourne series. And then at the end of Jason Bourne, when he saw that he couldn't trust the system anymore, he finally left, and he let the lady know that she was spot out. It was discovered who she really was. And so his answer was no, to work for her. And he knows right off that him saying no was his death sentence. So he didn't win. He couldn't win. And so he left. So he's forever being pursued. And so the woman and everybody on this planet, the male and female, we're fighting each other, but it's not really our war. It's a war that's been placed upon us because someone from outside the system came here and is doing havoc. Where it all begins, I'm not really sure. Some people say it's beings from other planets, or maybe it's, what do you call it, extra dimensionals. I don't know what it is. But everything is so infiltrated. Everything. Families are infiltrated. And I'm wondering whether or not the thing that happened to me a year ago at the restaurant, I'm wondering whether it was something domestic or whether something outside of this planet, or something underground, or from one of these agencies. I don't know. I really don't know. It's an ugly web, and how when you try to look for help to find out what's really going on, it's like a dead end. And the people that you think supposed to represent you, or even if you pay someone to work on your behalf, that they're not really working on your behalf. So this is just food for thought. And who knows? Who really knows? Again, this is also food for thought. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.